Good night, Dorian. There was Sarah, but well, thank you. Anyway, she's away.
Good night.
Good night. So, as always, thank you for being on time, and please let's wait a little bit for your classmates until 8 and 10, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I certainly really appreciate this responsibility from you.
Yeah. Don't worry about that.
Okay, see you in 10 minutes, okay? Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye bye.
Okay, good night, Laura and Dorian. Let's start. I think 10 minutes is enough for getting into the class, and well, let's go ahead. Well, as you know, we are finishing Module 2. We have this theoretical class, 2 classes more, and then it's the final test in a week. In that way, we are going to practice all the information we got until this point. Let's go. Tonight, we are going to start the questions the way we are taking a history. I mean, expressions, questions, ways to ask about information. Non-specific details, how to write down, how to give details. No, it's a point that is different at this moment. But taking a history is about all of these topics. I mean, a full case history covers all of these details. Personal details of the patient, of course, the presenting complaint, the past medical history, PMH, drug history, family history, social and personal history, patient ideas, concerns, and expectations, of course, and review of systems. When I say review of systems, of course, we are not going to check the same information as Module 1. We are going to check specific expressions, specific questions that can give you an overview about systems, okay? So let's start. About personal details, in Module 1, we were talking about a specific guy, we can say, a specific professional who's in this place, who's the responsible about taking all the personal details, numbers, records, okay. It's entered in the records by a nurse or administrative staff before doctors see them, I mean. That's the one who collects all the information. However, on later consultations, the doctor may wish to check details such as address, date of birth, occupation, marital status, details like that. This person is the clerk. Do you remember the clerk word? That auxiliary nurse, usually, who was going and checking everything about the records and information of the patient, all the forms on its place, and also was answering the phone calls, okay? That's the clerk, the word clerk. To find or to check a patient's occupation, we may ask, of course, common questions, non so complicated ways to ask a very easy question, right? Do you work, or what do you do for a living? They are the most common ways to start this kind of a speech. We all know about it. Then we got the answer of the patient. They can say, no, I'm unemployed, or I'm out of work. This is a very common expression, I'm out of work. So according to this, we know that the patient at this moment is not working, of course. Another answer, no, I'm retired, or I'm a pensioner. Another way to receive the same information, right? Or, yes, I work for a bank, for example, or I work in a factory. In that way, it's possible to catch the occupation, and then we can realize the risk factors that are related to occupation. In unemployment, in retirement, or in different kind of occupations of works, of course, the occupation risks are different. About marital status, we can ask, do you have a partner? Is the most common question. Why we say partner? Because it's a neutral expression, it's without gender. Nowadays we know it's a very common situation to find different preferences in this sphere of life, right? So it's better to say, do you have a partner? And you have lots of possible answers. For example, yes, I'm married, but you're not considering if he's married with a man or women, right? Another way patients could say, no, I'm single, I'm separated, I'm divorced. Could be there are three different ways to say that it's single. or I live with my partner, with my spouse, with my husband, with my wife. Okay. Another way, no, I'm a widow, or maybe I'm a widower, or no, I'm divorced. Okay. Or if the patient, well, has a very difficult situation, a widow or widower, my spouse passed away last year. Could be a situation and expression telling us that it's a widow or widower, right? That's why let's look these specific words, very common ways to receive this kind of information. Spouse can be wife or husband according to the context. That's why you cannot just say, I'm married, okay, perfect. I live with my spouse, perfect. But you cannot infer if it's a man that it's a woman. Nowadays, it's not possible. Just we have to be open-minded, and we don't have to get any expectation about this. You know now, spouse, wife, or husband. Widow is a woman whose husband is no longer living. Okay, the lady is a widow. Husband passed away. Widower is a man whose wife is no longer living. The lady passed away, of course. To avoid saying that someone is dead, avoid saying something that could be not comfortable for the patient, the best expression, the easiest one, passed away. Patients may say that person has passed away. So let's consider this. If you hear that, you know that this person is dead. Okay? Well, during all of this speech, we realized that one of the most common situations to get into the medical consultation is pain. That's why we must talk about pain. In case notes or case report are kept for each consultation. The presenting complaint section of case notes records the patient's symptoms. We all know the case report. Just an example, right-sided temporal headache, severe and throbbing. Lasts 24 to 48 hours. Enough information at this point. The main complaint, the headache. We are catching this. But we must be clear about the definition, what is the meaning of pain, just as an extra information, because we need to catch the proper vocabulary. The IASP and pain are, well, IASP at the beginning is the International Association for the Study of Pain. They give us the protocol, the guidelines to follow these definitions and then get the chance to understand properly what we are talking about. And pain is this, I forgot the specific word. Give me a second. Well, pain is something like, is the newsletter, when you can receive specific information just about pain and treatments that are related of this. Following IASP definition, pain is an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with actual or potential tissue damage, or described in terms of such damage, okay? According to the pain review, pain is a distressing experience associated with actual or potential tissue damage. There is no necessarily a tissue damage, okay? With sensory, emotional, cognitive, and social components. You know, this definition takes bigger range about the variables we can evaluate the situation about pain. In this case, when we ask about symptoms, when we ask about pain, well, we know that this one of the common symptoms when we get into the emergency room. And in this case, for headaches, doctor would expect to establish most of the features below. I mean, similar questions can be used for other forms of pain, but in case of headache, we may ask about all of this chart. This chart is a basis of this presentation, could be, because we got the properly way to ask for specific symptoms. We evaluate the main site, radiation, character, precipitating factors, time of onset, time of resolution, frequency, aggravating factors, relieving factors, associated features, duration, and severity. All of these parameters are important because we get specific information in order to organize our diagnosis and ideas. For example, time of onset. When do they start? When do colics started, for example? Or about frequency, how often do you get them? How often do you get the colics, could be, as an example just, okay? Read all of this. For example, revealing factors. Does anything make them better, or does anything make them worse about the aggravating factors? These questions are very common. In Spanish, we got an acronym that is similar to this one, that's taking almost the same information. You remember Alicia? That acronym is the same like this, but there you got maybe 1 or 2 extra details. For talking specifically about pain, this is an extra chart. You got the pain rate and the scale. This is just an example, the commonest one, the easy one to find, because there are pictures, and when sometimes patients cannot understand specifically how to identify these definitions, these sensations, but we got a chance to use faces, and then they can choose which one is the best that fits to its situation, and we can classify in minor pain, moderate pain, and severe pain. As I was telling you, it's extra, it's for catching vocabulary, so take it in count, okay? As extra information, again, we got pain assessment scales or tools, because we know that there are not just one scale, there are lots of scale according to the situation. For example, pain assessment tools, the OPQST, or Socrates, or pain risk factors assessment form, they are following different objectives. Or in this case, pain assessment scales in adults, just we got all of these situations, because we can consider behavioral pain scale, or maybe visual analog scale, the VAS, that's with the faces that I was showing you, or the adult nonverbal pain scale. That difference is just for extra information, for catching that we should choose the best one. And then improve our skills. About pediatrics, we got all of these tools, because we evaluate babies, we evaluate kids. Sometimes they don't have the capability to talk to us and choose the face in the analog scale. But while taking the behavior, or the face, or the way the baby is moving, we can realize how the situation is going on. That's why we must consider it. This article, this review, is, well, as it says, a systematic review of pain scales in adults, which to use. This study shows us that nowadays in the emergency rooms, we use 1 or maybe 2 scales as much, no more than that. And that's a huge mistake, because we should know the best one that fits to the case. And as you could see, there are a lot of ways to get the proper information. If we don't have the correct analysis of the situation, we make a mistake, and we can avoid data that can change the classification and, of course, the treatment. Okay, so just for taking in account, there is a DOI, so it's possible to check and download it. When we talk about description of pain, we got all of these descriptions that are for natives, Americans, English people, well, you know. And we have the explanation, the meaning of these expressions. Tell you by experience, when you receive a patient in the emergency room and it's an American foreigner, an American native patient, American native, they go and use this kind of words and you run mad because they are not common words when you start studying English. It's not our native language. That's why it's not so easy to memorize or to catch all the vocabulary as fast, right? For example, patient can say, I have, I'm gripping, I'm feeling of tightness, could be, but they just tell gripping. This is stabbing. It's like a knife. That's the characteristic of the pain. Or this is throbbing with a pulse or beat. If you had the chance to work with native people from USA, for example, you should ask what's the meaning of that, and they are going to explain you in a very similar way. For example, for gripping, a feeling of tightness, they look the way to make understand what's the idea they are feeling on, okay? In the same idea, all of these words are common in American English and in British English. So these words are the ones that have to get into the case report, for example, or during the physical exam, okay? Non-explanation, these words, please memorize them, practice on them because they are important. As extra words, I'm adding this list when some of the terms that are in the chart are repeating here, but then you get more details, for example, constant or itching or nagging. So practice on this, but the chart that is going to get into the final test is this one, okay? Well, just an extra slide, the difference between acute pain and chronic pain. For taking a detail, just how it starts, how it comes and goes, how many time it lasts. Please read it, it's for you. Just extra for catching more vocabulary. And then, well, let's talk about drug history. When we talk about drug history specifically, we must consider that it's essential to obtain full details of drugs and medications taken by the patient. Okay, we don't have to forget how to ask them. Patients always forget the name or exchange the name of drugs, but we have to consider that they are not medics, they are not doctors. So they get the chance to mix these ideas. Moreover, they love to use over-the-counter remedies unknown to the general practitioner. I mean, remedies that are without medical prescription, that are easily to buy by free, and well, sometimes you have to infer what they were taking, okay? And moreover, they love to use herbal medicine or laxatives in order to help body to improve or to avoid any pathological situation. The trouble with herbal medicine is that we cannot realize the proper doses about medication, right? About the doses, about the effects that they certainly make, okay? It's necessary to determine the precise identity of the drug, the dose and the frequency of administration, and the patient's compliance or lack of it, right? We know about it, but always it's great to remind us. We also have to ask about drug allergies or suspected drug reactions because of the injuries they can cause to the body, to the patient's body, okay? Failure to ask the question or to record the answer properly may be lethal. Why lethal? Because if we don't record the information clearly, this mess could be a big trouble. To find out or to ask about the drug history, we as doctors can ask Details of drugs and medications could be, are you taking any medication at the moment? Which tablet do you take? Do you use any over-the-counter remedies or herbal homeopathic medicines? So patients should tell us the truth, but we know that sometimes it doesn't happen. So just for being clear, that's the way we start talking about it. If you consider more questions, of course, they are possible to make. About frequency of administration, how many times a day could be, or about the compliance. Do you always remember to take it? That's very important because sometimes elderly patients don't remember to take the pills and they take the doses twice. And we must take in account this situation for inferring about the treatment the patient is going to need. About side effects and allergies, you can say, do you get any side effect? Of course, being clear what side effect means. Or do you know if you're allergic to any drug? Sometimes patients could say yes, but while talking, it's not the truth. Patients that are really allergic to a drug, they tell us at the beginning of the interview of the anamnesis, and we know that it's a very, very different situation from a side effect. If they say that they are allergic, we can say, what symptoms do you get after taking it? We're trying to catch how serious could be the situation, right? About family history, we can consider the age, health, or cause of death of parents, siblings, spouse, and children. We must take into account all of this information. We must ask about family history. Do you have any brothers and sisters? Do you have siblings? How old was he or she when he or she died? Do you have any children? Do you know the cause of death? What did he die of? Are all your close relatives alive? Are your parents alive and well? Does anyone in your family have a serious illness? Is anyone taking regular medication? Well, all of this information you can realize is focused on this topic. About social and personal history, we consider, of course, occupation, housing, personal habits like recreation, physical exercise, alcohol, and tobacco. In case of children, we must ask for school and family relationships. It's important. The most common questions in social and personal history: what kind of house do you live in? Do you live alone? Who shares your home with you? How old are your children? Are any of them at nursery or school? What's your occupation? Do you have any problems at work? Why we ask for about occupation and work? Because they are a very high risk factor when there are troubles or there are without any opportunity to get enough money. It's a stressful, very stressful situation, and of course there are consequences. That's the reason we ask about it. More questions. Do you have any financial problems? Do you have any hobbies or interests? Very important because we have to consider relaxed time. What about exercise, or do you practice exercise? Do you smoke? Or if the answer is yes, how many cigarettes per day? Have you tried giving up? This is because it's so difficult to give up this kind of activity, smoking and drinking alcohol. Well, we know the reasons. It's a very common situation, right? For being interesting, we can say, what about alcohol? Wine, beer, or spirits? When we say spirits, we are considering all the different drinks. From wine and beer, could be rum, could be vodka, I don't know, or drinks that are prepared, for example, margaritas, things like that. Okay. How much do you drink a week? Could be if it's, well, it's important to know if the patient drinks or not. What's the most you would drink in a week? Or you can say, are you aware of any difference in your alcohol consumption over the past 5 years? Some patients could say yes, some of them could say no. That's a way to live on. Okay, when we talk about reviewing systems, we consider this. Well, we were talking about systems, all the model 1. We got the landmarks, specific details, some extra words that are important at this point, well, lots of abbreviations, well, you know about it. But we were also talking about the case report, I mean, how to take a specific information, how to organize ideas and write down the properly in the medical history. So once you know the main reason why the patient wants medical attention, assistance, no attention assistance, it's sensible to ask about the symptoms, the systems to determine the patient's general state of health and to check for any additional problems. We know we got the main complaint into the anamnesis, and we look for extra information, extra findings. We know about it. Patients should be encouraged to describe symptoms spontaneously. We shouldn't start talking for them. We must try to let them talk alone, right? The initial question should be open-ended and as general as possible in order to let the patient to have the opportunity to talk without trouble, and follow up with more specific questions if needed, but avoiding putting words in the patient's mouth, avoiding giving expressions. For example, in open-ended questions, what's your appetite like? It's different from a closed question. Have you eaten today? Okay. Another open-ended question, how's your vision? The patient has to describe how it works. It's different when you say, is your vision even blurry? Because could say no, and that's all, yeah. But you have to look for the way to obtain these ways. And well, the WH questions are the best way to catch this information properly. As an example, when we talk about systems, we can consider the central nervous in this case. We can say, do you have a headache? Have you ever had blackouts? What about pets? Have you had any dizziness? Do you get ringing in the ears? Have you ever experienced any numbness or tingling in your hands or feet? Do you have any problems sleeping? Okay. What about seasick? Could be. While walking, do you feel something that is not comfortable? Well, what about the steps? Well, lots of details we can take in count. Just as examples, that's the way you can start asking for them, from closed question, open-ended questions, and, well, following the main complaint situation, right? About patient ideas, concerns, and expectations, that's a fact that sometimes we don't take in count and we don't consider through the time. I mean, we just start with our patients talking and talking and talking, and we don't let patients talk and express feelings. I mean, it's important to give the patient the chance to express their own ideas or concerns, because they certainly need to determine what they are expecting from our job as a doctors, what they expect about treatment, about all of this situation that is new for them. I mean, these abbreviations, ideas, concerns, and expectations are a way of remembering this detail and not avoiding to let the patient ask as many questions as he or she has. right? If we don't let the patient talk about, well, we are making a mistake because the patient goes with a lot of preoccupation, thinking that maybe it's gonna die because something is without control. The common questions, the typical questions are about ideas. What do you know about this problem, condition, or illness, or could be a disease too? What do you know about it? Let me know your knowledge, okay? Do you have any ideas about this? Okay. Okay, or you can say, how do you think you got this problem? Do you know how you get into contagious? Do you, I don't know, when you try to look for the way of contagious, you can ask for, do you have, I don't know, do you, are you eating veggies without cleaning, for example? Are you going to a new restaurant? Or do you eat in the same places always? Something like that, right? What do you mean by, because sometimes patients give us expressions that are not so clear, that can be confused. And when we ask about meanings, we give the chance to explain these details. And of course, from this explanation, they get the opportunity to be so clear about the situation. And we know if they are in the right way or maybe not, they are in a mistake. We can correct it. About concerns, we have to be clear on this. We have to go to the point, and without any trouble, we should ask, what are your worries about? Okay? Or do you have any concerns? How might this affect the rest of your family? It's important to consider family because patients don't live alone usually, or they try to find someone to get support. And well, this support is important to understand and continue the treatment without having any trouble, right? About expectations, what do you think will happen? What do you certainly consider the situation will change your life? What do you expect from the treatment? Or what do you expect from me as your doctor? Do you feel comfortable with me? Could be. What were you hoping we could do for you? If patients have very high expectation, we have to try to set them on the floor and then consider that we are humans. We are doctors, we got knowledge by reading, by studying lots of years, but we don't have the final decision, right? We can talk with the statistics, with scientific information, and we can support our job but in this way. But we cannot ensure that the treatment is going to work in the same way for everybody. That's why we ask, what were you hoping we could do for you? Or the same, what do you expect from me? Try to be clear on this. Patients sometimes make a false idea that you got the science on your hands and you are the best on this. Well, that's great because it shows confidence, but they don't realize that we are in limits, okay? We are just humans, oh God. Well, this is a very, very interesting chart because we must study this in the general words. Because we use phrasal verbs a lot, as you will check. A lot in many situations. Phrasal verbs help us to get in a better way the communication because of the several meanings they have according to the context. That's why they are so useful. And as you could notice during the whole course, well, we Okay, give me a second to share again the screen. Again, I don't know what I did while typing. Okay, here we are. When we talk about the bring up any phlegm, we know expectorate or vomit any phlegm. Okay, great. About carry on, very common. Carry on taking the painkillers for another week. I mean, continue taking the painkillers for another week. Carry on sounds nicer, sounds in the best way. I mean, so cordial, so nice, in confidence with you and your patient instead of continue. Or we can say, when does the pain come on? When does the pain commence, or when does the pain start? Well, that's another way, a very casual way to talk about it. Or about give up, my advice is to give up smoking, give up drinking, give up taking recreational drugs, right? I put on a lot of weight in the last month or so. I gained a lot of weight, blah, 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 okay? We also can say we turned out. She had all these tests and it turned out to be cancer. So she had all the tests and it turned and it happened in the end to be cancer. I mean, they changed it. They are showing us this situation. Yeah, they turned out. Sometimes this diagnosis is not expected, but well, it happens. About turn up, the rash just turned up out of nowhere. The rash just appeared unexpectedly out of nowhere, without a pattern, without a shape. The rash just the rash just spread out or spread up out of nowhere. I mean, you can notice, very common, a very easy way to practice on this. And don't forget this. Your eye cannot see anything that your brain doesn't know. That's why we must study, we must read, practice, and memorize, okay? Let's consider this. Let's take in account this. We have an objective. We must not follow the way we are working on this, okay? Let me send you the pool to take attendance, and I'm gonna upload the presentation and the clinical situation that I should send yesterday. I'm out of time because, well, you know, my kids are sick and I'm exhausted. In that way, it's so hard for me to get it, to send the information at the time that I'm planning. I'm really sorry, but let's try to fix it, sending the file tonight. So give me a second, please. I'm uploading, okay? Okay. Okay, thank you, Diana. Thank you, Pablo and Jimena. Thank you very much. I lost it. Okay. Okay, the presentation, the PDF file is on the chat. Please let me know as soon as you get it. And give me a second, I'm uploading the homework, the writing exercise, okay? So,
Teacher, sorry.
yes, tell me.
You know that I have problems with my cell phone. Could you submit please inbox, please, teacher?
Okay, the presentation via inbox.
Thank
Okay,
you.
please send me a message for not missing this, okay? For not
Okay.
missing not forgetting this
Okay, teacher. Thank you.
activity. Yeah, okay.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, yesterday during the workshop, I was explaining people that we are going to have the final test next week. Next Thursday, we are finishing this. We are going to have the same way the homework file. I mean, tomorrow we got the workshop from this week class, and we are going to check the exercise, the writing exercise that I'm sending now. And of course, you got the chance to, that's correct. You got the chance to send me your answer. Give me a second. You study the slides, we check your answers, we correct details, and I'm gonna send the homework file with information from this week and next week. I'm gonna send the slides from next week tomorrow for practicing and studying with time, same in module 1. And it's gonna be easier for you because, well, it's a lot of information we have to consider now. Okay, let's go. Oh. Okay, here you guys, it says homework number 4, but now it's writing exercise, okay? Download it, and according to that, we are going to work tomorrow. Please prepare all of this. If there's any question, let me know by a message and we can solve it out. Make your best. If you consider that the clinical findings could be, or that you could add more clinical findings, do it. There is no trouble on this. Give me as much information as you can, and please give me all the details you got. I mean, use abbreviations, practice expressions, give me specific details about it, okay? I think that's all. Is there any question about it? Well, I think there is not. Okay, perfect. If there are no questions, we can meet tomorrow. Have a great night, and let's cross fingers for me, please. I think tonight I can sleep better. My kids are without fever today.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, goodbye. Okay. Okay. Okay, Elena, could you, I'm gonna send you everything by inbox, right? Same situation with you, Jimena, right?
Thank you very much. Miss, can you send us the last slides, please?
The slides, yes, I'm gonna send you both. Let me know, did I send you the previous slides, the Monday slides, I mean?
Please, teacher.
Yes, I'm sorry, did I send you the slides from Monday?
You didn't send us, teacher.
Didn't
Oh,
send
I'm
us.
sorry. I'm gonna do it now. Give me a second, please. I'm gonna send you by WhatsApp at this moment. Okay?
Thank you, teacher.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much for your patience. And I'm really sorry. I thought I sent it to you.
Okay, doctor. Thank you very much. Have a nice night.
Thank you so much. Let's cross fingers. Okay.
Okay,
No
bye,
more
teacher.
fever, please. Okay, bye. Have a great night and see you tomorrow.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
See ya. Bye bye. Okay, everything is done. They took their information. Goodbye and see ya. See ya tomorrow.